Hello! In this video we are going to discuss the worst dangers of alcohol that nobody is talking about. Because there are a lot of obvious dangers and side effects of alcohol that everybody knows about. Everybody knows that it's bad for our health, that it destroys our brain, that we have hangover on the next day. Probably for a few next days we are less productive. Everybody knows this. But there are some side effects of this substance that affects us on a mental and spiritual level that nobody literally is talking about. And in this video, I'm going to discuss these things. First, when we drink alcohol, we quit our responsibilities and we create for ourselves more problems. Yes, with alcohol, we want to quit our problems, we want to quit our head, but we are doing something completely opposite and we are creating, in this way, more problems. We should not generalize that everybody who drinks has a lot of problems in life, of course. We should not also demonize this substance. But to be honest, most people drink it to quit these problems, to feel this alleviation of bad emotions. Because if you feel vibrant, you feel exuberant, you feel good within your body, you have no need to drink. Okay, you can drink one glass of wine, for example, but you will not drink until you will pass out. You will black out, basically. So look at this, and instead of drinking all the time, whenever you have some bigger, deeper issue, you should write down it on paper and spend some time thinking about how you can solve this in a material way, in a good way, because by drinking you will not solve this problem. This problem will disappear only in your head for few hours when you are inebriated, but later it will appear again and you will have even more problems and you will have less energy on the next day. And this is second point. Alcohol makes us less energetic on the next day. And also scientists say that, it's normal that on the next day we're going to have hangover, etc. But it's not only about this, but also your level of consciousness, of your vibration on the next day, which means this energy, but not only physical but spiritual, is going to be lower, and you're not going to have as much humor as you had in the previous day. In this day, after drinking, usually we have less energy. And what happens if we have less energy? We are looking for ways to supplement it from outer substances. For example, to drink caffeine, to maybe even in the morning drink more alcohol in order to feel good. Because I knew some drunkards, some young alcoholics who needed to do it in order to feel good on the next day, because they experienced so strong hangovers that it was unbearable, and they needed to do something in order to quit this feeling and to function properly on a daily basis. So it affects our energy in a bad way. So try to take care of your energy in a natural way. Third thing, alcohol lowers our self-esteem and our confidence. When you drink, it can affect you in a lot of different ways because each person is on different level of consciousness. So it's normal that probably if you're on high levels, it's not going to give you a lot of benefits. On the contrary, it's going to lower you down because you feel that something's wrong with you in your body. But when you're feeling very down and you drink some alcohol, it's going to take you up and you're going to feel happy. But you need to understand that alcohol, even if it will give you confidence to do, it will give you some courage to do things that you don't have guts to do whilst you're sober, later, on the next day, you're not going to do this. Why I'm telling you about this? Because a lot of people look for ways to increase their self-confidence, maybe to approach people. But when you're drunk, later, it will not improve your social skills at all. You'll feel even more anxious doing it whilst you're sober. And when you do such things whilst you're sober, you indeed level up in this skill, and you're better, and you understand that you can do it without being drunk without stupefying yourself with any kind of substance. And this is the way that you can create true, real confidence. After drinking alcohol, your confidence will not rise in the long term, only in the short term, and you will not quit your comfort zone, because when you're drunk, this comfort zone disappears, so it's not challenge for you. But later, when you will come back to sober, you're going to feel much more uncomfortable in these situations, because you will remind yourself how you were courageous, how you were confident whilst you were drunk, and you will feel this anxiety that you're not this confident, you're too self-conscious, and you can quit this self-consciousness in these situations by approaching these situations naturally and by doing what you're afraid of without alleviating this fear in your head. Because if you will alleviate this fear by any external substance and later do what you're afraid of, it's not breaking your comfort zone, you're not leveling up in this level. I hope you understand what I mean. Next, big thing that alcohol is making for us, which is bad, is that whenever we come to people, we feel this need to do something, because we cannot basically be, to speak, to do something interesting. And if we don't have to do, and when we don't find any way to spend time in a good way, we take alcohol and we drink, because it's kind of activity that is meant to bond us with other people. But you know that it's pretty superficial. What if you can go out with people, meet, and create something beautiful, some beautiful memories without only this drinking? Of course, as I said previously, it's not always bad. If you haven't seen with your best friend for a long time and you meet and you drink some vodka, some maybe wine, in moderation, if you think that it's a good idea, nothing's wrong. But if you meet with some people and each time you drink, maybe you should consider what's wrong. Maybe you don't have to talk about, maybe you don't have things to do, interesting things to do. Because with people, we should go and we should do something interesting rather than sitting, drinking and later gossiping and reminiscing about past. We should be mainly focused on future if you want to be happy, but also grounded in the present moment whilst with people. And what alcohol does? It doesn't bring us to the present moment naturally, but it's just making us less aware of what is happening. Because awareness, for some people, is something painful. If we are aware of these things, these problems, and we cannot be naturally happy, but this is not solution. By diminishing your consciousness, you're not going to be happier in the long term, and you can paradoxically be very happy whilst being very conscious and aware of yourself, of the world. But as I said previously, in some situations we should not just overthink, because thinking and overthinking doesn't necessarily mean that we are conscious. If you're in a situation when you want to approach a woman in a club, or you're a woman, you want to talk to some guy, when you overthink before this doesn't mean self-consciousness or awareness. No. It's just basically overthinking in this case. Your ego mechanisms are on, and you're creating in your head scenarios that can go worse. You're creating in your head excuses to not do it. And this is not consciousness, awareness, this is not anything related to that. Consciousness means that you know on a deep level that you should do it regardless of what is happening in your mind. Okay. I don't know, maybe there are also some other things that I haven't mentioned in this video, but I think that's all for today's video. I hope you liked it. If you know any other bad ways in which alcohol destroys our body, who we are, and our life, you can write it in comments. And remember also that I'm not generalizing in this video. I'm giving you just some examples and real and just some truth about how alcohol influences us. But remember that if you take care of yourself, of your body, of your mind, of your emotions, You don't neglect your problems. From time to time, it's okay. Okay? You should not treat it like something bad whatsoever, but you should understand why, what are your motivations to do this. You should observe yourself, why is you're under influence on it, because maybe you're doing it only to just fit in, you know. Like this video, comment, share this video, because this is very important message, and subscribe my channel. Bye bye!